Hey everybody, welcome back. It is tutorial number 12. We're going to just run this quickly and show you at this point what we have. And as you recall, these items stay selected, and of course if happy is selected we get to our next view. We push it, but this hasn't got a lot of polish to it. This is still here. We don't want this. This key, we want to change this to just have it say back. We want to have a key here. This we want to have sorted. And, so those things we want to, and of course we want to do that so it looks clean. Okay, so first things first, let us deal with the deselecting. We're going to run an else statement here since we have since we have an if then. So if then else, you're basically going to call the table view, deselect row at index path, and you're going to put the index path variable, whatever index it's at. You don't have to worry about the row subvariable, this one here. If you try to, you're going to get an error. It's not looking for an integer, it's looking for an index path. And of course bool here is yes. And we're gonna terminate it. Okay. And we're gonna just comment this here as well. We should really put comments in at all times. Don't select any row unless it is happy. Gotta be a happy row. So we're going to run this, and we're going to show you what... Whoa, sorry about that. We have a little glitch here. More than one... There we go, sorry. More than one brace, it happens. Braces have to be uniform, open, closed, open, closed. You have an extra one, you're going to error. And now, it animates and deselects, and if happy selected, we're there. Okay, so that's cleared up there. Now let's get rid of that toolbar on the bottom. I'm going to put that code just before we push the view. Hide the toolbar, and that one is also a self. Actually, I don't believe we need. Yes, we do need the braces. We're calling a method. Sometimes I forget. Self. Boy, I'm bad with the typing here. Self, navigation, controller, set toolbar hidden, and we're going to put a yes in there. Okay, and we're going to run that. Well, that basically just sets the toolbar of the navigation control to hidden. Seems pretty good. And it disappears. Now, if we go back, we have a problem. We've hidden it. And remember I talked about time? When you hide something, or when you do anything, if you do something, you have to know when it's done and when you want to undo it. So to undo this, I'm going to just copy this code. We need it again. Obviously we have to set it to no, but where? Well, we are in the root view controller, and every time we want to see the root view controller, we want to see the toolbar. We wouldn't do it with load, because load would only do it when we loaded the app. If we put it in the load statement, even after the app is loaded, once we hide it, we'll never see it again. So the other statement to put it in is the appear. Every time it appears, unhide the toolbar. Right? Everything has its purpose in Xcode, and when you become a very good programmer in this, it's really eloquent in its own way. Things make sense. So we're going to do this again, and whoops, I've got to I can't run it yet. I have to, yeah, you guessed it. It's got to be no. We don't want to hide it. Not yes, we do. Okay, let's run it again. When we do, Okay, we're back to our main page here. We run happy, it disappears. We go back, and it reappears. And that's how you do that. So whatever event causes it to disappear, when you want it to come back, it's the will appear. Every time this appears, it comes back. And it works out nicely. It's very animated too, as you can see. Alright, so we're now down to, we want that back button changed. I'm going to place some code in here to customize the back button. Whoa, sorry about that. Alright, and we're going to call up the UI bar button item. We're going to call it back button. And remember, with Apple, it's always lowercase and then the uppercase for the actual function. And that's going to be equal to, I think it's 3, UI bar button item, allocate, initialize with title. And okay, and we're going to type in, as we type in all strings with the @ sign, we're going to just simply call this one back. Okay, well, let me type that lowercase back there. Tab over here, our UR button style is bordered. The ID, the target is nil. There is no target because it's a back button. You have, when you say target self, you're saying look in the class and then the action find the method. When you're saying target nil, don't look in the class, and of course there's no selector. That's nil as well. And we're going to take out one of these braces. We don't need the extra one, and we're going to close this off. And of course it's telling me I have an unused variable, which is fine. And then I need another line here. You see I've created the variable, but now I have to set the back button as the current back button. And we do that with the self.navigation controller dot navigation item. I take that back. The item, and you've seen this before, and we did when we did the add dwarf here. We used a left, I believe it was a right button. Right? Yeah, you have some choices here. Back, right? I'm going to just type in here left or right. We want back, and that equals our variable here. We're going to type in back button. Okay, and that takes care of that. And then what we will do is we will release it here as well. We have to release it. Back button release the variable. So now if we run this, you're going to see something that's interesting. Back, instead of now our demo app back. And it gives you a lot of real estate here on the screen as well. And then of course, now we want to then go over to our detail view controller, right? And we have the detail array released in our unload. Where we are in our view did load, right here, we want to add, and you remember this one, right? Detail array. Actually, I have to call it as a method. I have to put a brace in there. Sort using selector, right? At selector. Case insensitive. boom, boom. Okay. And that's going to be to sort the array. And over here. Now remember, this is add the array. This is on the view did load. If you had added, as we did previously, if we add something, we're going to have to then sort it as well, and the view will appear. Typically, because you load it, you have to sort it initially, and then you'd resort it here. We're going to run this again, just to convince you we've done that. Okay. And there we are, EGKN. It's sorted, right? So we did that. One more item we want to add here. Add the left bar button. And in that case, we are going to go UI bar as we did previously with the back button. Add button, right? Equals UI allocate. Whoops, sorry. Allocate, and of course the initialize. Whoops, sorry, I put the wrong. I'm too fast. Initialize with title, and the title will be add. Right? I like to go through this several times so it sinks in. I know you're saying, well, I just did this once before, but it pays because you also understand code. You need things: title, this type of button, the target, which will be self in this case. Right? We're looking at the class for the target, and of course the action will be what? At selector, and we're going to put add item here, or well, we'll add item, and whoops, sorry, we'll close that off. Whoops, all right, and we need one more brace. Believe it or not, I forgot one other thing here. Auto release. Okay. And that we need because we didn't do that for this one, because we release it. Where is it? Hold on a second. Where is our button? Our button is here. Our back button, because we release it. We didn't auto release it here. Auto release, as I've said, is one of those things that you, unless you have to program it, don't release things yourself. The other reason why we don't auto release here is because our target is nil and our action is nil. We have no target. Here, it's acceptable to auto release because we define the target and the actual selector. And that works out pretty nicely. Now we're getting a warning here saying that, of course, this add variable isn't, this object's not been used, and then we have to declare, right, the self navigation. Whoa, boy, I am bad typing. Navigation item dot, and this is a right bar right button equals add button. Okay, and we're just going to say over here for our make the add, or add the add button. Actually, I should say add the add button, add the button, or add the button. Boy, I'm confusing you. Add the button to the navigational controller, or at least in this view. So if we do this, if we run this, okay, Grumpy, of course, you can't select. There it is. There it is. If we click it, as you guess, we're going to error out. Why? because there is no class that picks up that selector. It doesn't exist, and it says I don't find it. So if you ever program in or put a button in there and add a button, and there's no method for this selector, you're going to get an error. We can go back without an issue. What we're going to do is in our next tutorial, I think I'd like to get a title in here based upon the selection. That's always neat to do. Show you how that works. So that this would say Happy's, I don't know, Happy's items or something like that. Apple's rule of thumb is this: if you're going to have a title here, you can have a button here and a button here. But if you're going to have a split button, and I'm going to show you that in another tutorial, where you can have two buttons on this side as well as a back button. What Apple says is if you have two here, a split or segmented, what they call a segmented control here, and a back button here, do not have a title here. And I encourage you to go to Apple's website and look at their guidelines, because what happens is if I have a segmented controller here, if I have on, off, and back, I don't have a lot of real estate here for a title, and it makes sense. Alright, so that's it for tutorial 12. As far as we have basically taken away our tab bar here and brought it back. We've allowed it so that we can deselect anything that's not selectable. We've changed the back button from our demo app to back. We've added the add button, and we've sorted our array here. One other thing, speaking about pushing views to close out here, you notice again you have this static array. You could push 7 individual views if you really wanted to, but the guideline is to push one view and again allow it to be filtered for whatever's selected. If I were dealing with SQLite, and we're going to get into SQLite at some point, I would pick up Happy, go into my SQLite database in code, find all of Happy's information, and populate my table view with his information. Then I could select Dopey and do the same thing, and Bashful, and so on, and have only one view to do all of this versus 7. This is another reason why a static array can be difficult. The more you have in that table view, the more classes you require here. So it's discouraged to have a static array here unless you absolutely need people to select from something here. If you need a selection to be made, down here is where you want to do it. Again, Apple looks from top to bottom, so that's their way of looking at it, and it's a very good way. You want to, alright, I look at the top here, I see my selections here, and I look at the bottom and I see my options here. Alright, so in the next tutorial we're going to get this title up here, and then I want to begin the picker view, creating the picker view, allow it to add something as we did here, add something to the array, which will require us to take this array, by the way, I'm going to close this out, away from the did load method and bring it where, you guessed it, the app delegate. Because if I have to add something via another class, I can't do it from one class to another class. I do it through the app delegate. So that closes out today's tutorial. I will see you next time, and I just want to make a statement right here now. Our hearts and prayers go out to the family of the singer who had passed away. The family of, boy, I'm bad here, of Whitney Houston, and all of those people, her daughter, her mother, her cousin, Dionne Warwick, and everybody else. Our hearts go out to you. We are so saddened for you. We send you our love. And take care. Have a good night.